Hey everyone, FlyingDutchy here and welcome to my first guide video. I'm gonna make a series of guide videos to prepare everyone for EU5 to come out, and I will go over the most important things. And I want to start with control and proximity and with everything that comes with it, so let's just jump into it. Control is one of your most important things you need to manage in your empire, because it determines how much money you get and more things. So let's just take a look at what it is. We are going to go to our capital, that is this star icon on the map, and that is Stockholm. And we are going to click on it, and this is your control. In your capital, most of the time, I think always you have 100% control. And if you have 100% control over a location, you will get the full base tax. Well, your estates get the full base tax, and then you tax the estates. But there are more things that are very important for control. Let's just take a look here. You see that we have potential base tax and effective base tax. It's the same. We don't lose any base tax because we have the full control. And that control goes over here. We have, once again, the 2.34. We don't lose any money. And then that goes to all our estates. And then we tax the estates for our tax income. So it is very important to keep your control up for, well, just this thing at least. Now we're going to click on the neighboring location, Norrtälje, and here we have 66% control. We have a maximum control of 65 because of a couple of things. Well, the average satisfaction is a little bit lower because I just loaded up this game. We have a core here which gives 20%, and then we have the proximity to the capital. So that is what we're going to talk about a lot. How do you get more proximity? So here you can see what is happening with the taxes. Normally we could have 0.17, but we have 0.11 because we have not enough control. That 0.11 and not 0.17 but 0.11 is going to all your estates, and we tax those estates again over here. Now this is a very low example, but that is why control is very important. Now when I hover over the control here in the same location, you see more things, what kind of penalties you get when you don't have full control. And the most important thing is your crown power. Your crown power determines your percentage of crown power, and that means how much money you get from trade, for example. It's very important that you get a good trade income. Of course, you also get some tax efficiency things. Efficiency of the cabinet goes down, and that is when you go below 25. But your trade income keeps scaling up even if you go over 25%. So very important that you get your crown power up, and you do that by getting a lot of control in your country. Also, full control gives you good market protection, as you can see on the downside here, but we'll talk about markets in another video. Now, there's also a controlled map mode. Let's take a look at this one. You can get there by clicking on the location and then go over here, or you go to your map mode yourself and try to find the control map mode. And here you can see in one overview how much control you have, and you see that around the capital it's better compared to the rest of the map. We have 20 because we have cores on these lands, but it's higher over here. Now, why is that? When we take a look at the control in Stockholm, our capital, then we see that because this is our capital, we have 20%, and we have a good proximity to the capital, 75%. We have a core here, so we are far over 100. But when we go to a neighboring location, then why is the control here lower? Why is the maximum control only going to 80? Well, we have a core and the proximity to the capital giving us 60.78%. So that is the only thing really at the start of the game that we need to get higher. The higher the proximity, the better. Now, let's go to the proximity part of this guide. That is this symbol. And so as you know, the proximity has a big impact on control. And we want to get the proximity as high as possible. Now, if we go from Stockholm to this location, it's a neighboring location. And you can see on the map that there is also a road going over here. Roads are helping to spread proximity from your capital to neighboring locations. So let's take a look at Uppsala. We see we have 81% proximity over here. The nearest proximity source is our capital, and we are going from Stockholm to Uppsala, and that is this. Normally, it will cost 40 proximity. So if you don't build any roads or whatever, then after 2 or 3 locations you go to 0. But since we have built a road here, and we have a couple of, we have the development bonus, and we have land versus naval values, the proximity goes to 81 instead of 61 or 60. And because we have this, we have an 80 maximum control. So, you want to build roads from your proximity source, which is your capital at the start of the game, to neighboring locations. And preferably to neighboring towns, because towns have most of the time more pops, and the more pops you have control over, the more crown power you get, and with more crown power you make more trade money. So all these things are very important. And yeah, that's what you can do over land, build roads. The road will get better with technology later on in the game. But there is another way to get your proximity up. Your proximity can also go over sea. Now let's take a look for an example here. Let's go to Visby, the town of Visby. The town of Visby at the moment is having a maximum control of 39 because the proximity is only 12%. Why is it 12%? Well, let's take a look here. The proximity of this location goes over sea. And that is why we are going to talk about Maritime Presence and Harbour Capacity. This will influence how good you can spread your control over sea. Now, over here you can see the route that it's going, but it's easier if you go to the proximity symbol here, hover over it, and go to the proximity map mode. Once again, I also have that over here, next to my control and proximity in my my own map modes here. You can choose which one you want here in this bar. And here you can see the route that it's doing right now. Now, why is it 16%? Well, it comes from Stockholm, then it goes from Stockholm to the Stockholm's Skärgård. I try to pronounce it right. And it gives minus 15. Normally, this is already plus 40. From Stockholm to this sea tile, normally is 40, but Stockholm has something special. When we click on Stockholm, you can see this symbol over here. The harbor capacity of Stockholm is 75%. This is just a given thing in the game. Some locations are just suited very well to have good harbor capacity. And the higher the harbor capacity, the easier it is for your proximity to come from your location into the sea tile. And that is why it is not 40 but 15 to go here. So let's once again go here. And then we see that we are going from Stockholm to that sea tile, 15. Then it goes from this sea tile to this sea tile to Braviken. And that is 17.5. Going through the open sea. And we have Maritime Presence. We will look at that soon. Then we go from Braviken to Jutlands Vestakust. And that is once again 17.5 because we have also Maritime Presence in these sea tiles. They are the same. And then it goes from this sea tile to this location. And that one is a bit higher. That is 32. Why is that 32? Well, Stockholm had good harbor capacity, but Visby is only having 25 harbor capacity. You can increase the harbor capacity with naval buildings like docks and wharves. And you will unlock a lot more buildings to get this higher. Stockholm will reach 100% pretty early, I would say, in the game. But Visby will not reach 100% for a long time, because there are just not enough buildings for it. So, if you have 100 here and 100 here, then going from the location into the sea tile here will be very low, and from this location to this sea tile will be very low. And then the only thing that you can influence is the maritime presence in the sea tile. So let's talk about that. So at the start, as Sweden, when you click on the sea tile where the proximity went through to Visby, so this one, and this one, and we click on it, then you can see our maritime presence over here. And at the moment it is 50%, that is just how the game starts. And that makes it that our proximity has an easier time to reach Visby. And you see that these tiles are all the same. Not this one, because the Hanseatic League is here as well. But these ones are all giving the same 50%, and we are going down with 0.09 a month right now. That is because we don't have a fleet stationed here. And at the start of the game, Sweden doesn't start with any fleet. So I'm gonna try to make one, so that I can show you guys what will happen. But yeah, this is what is happening. And another thing I want to tell you is, when you zoom out, you see the sea province. And this is something that is not clear at all in the game and not explained. But when you put a fleet in a tile in this province, so this one, this one, this one, or this one, you can see the borders, then that fleet will increase naval presence or maritime presence in all the sea tiles. So it doesn't matter where you put that fleet. But I will show you that soon. And for example, over here, this is also a province, a sea province. So if I put a fleet here and here, then this whole region and this whole region will gain maritime presence over time. And that is a long-term thing to do. So I will just play the game a bit and start building up a navy. Now the first thing I need to do is build wharves. We have no sailors. So we're going to the buildings. I'll click on the wharves. I'm gonna build as many as I can, and you can only build those in your towns. So let's build them close to the capital. What is that wharf doing as well? It's over here. The wharf. It also increases the harbor capacity a bit. So that is also getting better. And we can build ships here, you can build ships, and you are generating some sailors. And you get a bit more trade capacity, so I will let those build and I will be back when I have a navy. Now before that navy is built, I want to show one more thing you can do to increase control. And that is going by your cabinet members. And that is over here. A cabinet member, we will appoint a cabinet member. And someone with good administrative ability will be very good at helping to increase control. So we will get this one, Algut Nutson. And we'll tell him to do a cabinet action. And I click on this symbol to put the where he is good at in the front. So these are the 4 things you can do with your admin points. And this is your increase province control thing. We will get more control, maximum, and we will increase the control by 1 as a base. When I click on this, then I can choose a province where I want to increase my control. I want to do this at places where I have a high base tag so that I get more, and I want to do it in provinces where I have a lot of people, because the more people I control, the higher the crown power. So let's start in our capital. We have the highest base tags here, and the average control in this province is 67. Let's see if we can get it to like 100 or something. I do this, and then you can see that it is these are the modified stats. It's from your king and your cabinet member together. That gives the full stats. So, but let's not talk about that yet. We'll just let the game run, and then we'll increase the control with our cabinet member. And then I'm going to start building a navy. Alright, I have built the wharves. Let's take a look at Stockholm now. Because I have built the wharf, which is this building, we see that we now have 85% harbor capacity and not 75%. So Stockholm is already reaching 100% very soon. Well, not soon, because you need to wait a long time before you get the next building actually, but in the early game you will get it. The game is very long. And in Visby, we now have 35% and not 25%. So let's take a look at the proximity again and see if it has changed. Well, I think it is, because now we have 12.8 going from Stockholm to the sea. And from the sea to Visby it's now 29. I think it was 32. But the proximity is now getting a little bit better. And because of that, the control is now having a higher maximum. And every month the game goes to this number. So in 6 months we will have 3% more control in Visby. Now, I will wait for my sailors to come and build a fleet, and then I show you the last things. Now, I can build my first ship because I have 31 sailors. At the start of the game you have galleys and cogs. Maybe you have other ships when you play other countries that have special things. And now you want to look at what the ships give. And you want to look for the Maritime Presence stat. And I think that is... where is the Maritime Presence stat of this ship? This one. So, one galley gives 0.08. A transport gives 0.02. So I will start building the galleys. Later in the game you unlock barks, those are light ships, and they are way better of dealing with Maritime Presence. Okay, I have built 2 ships. You see how long it takes? It takes 4 years before we even have this, because the sailors come in very slow at the start of the game. I have built 2 ships, and we are going to give this an admiral. The admiral you want to give, you should give it the highest diplomatic ability, because the diplomatic ability of your captain gives Maritime Presence bonus. So this is the best one we have. I'm going to give this admiral to this fleet. And now you're going to see something. Right now we have 48.9 Maritime Presence. We get it, by the way, by having docks that end into the sea tile with bonuses. You can see Stockholm is already giving on its own some Maritime Presence without a fleet, because we have the Harbour Capacity and we have built a port there. So that gives a bonus as well. And we also have 0.05 from Södertälje, which is this town of this rural location. Also, this one is giving a little bit of Maritime Presence, even without any buildings and with 0 Harbour Capacity. It helps to get this number up over here. Now, when I put my fleet here, see that it's now going up with 0.02 each month. Why? Because my navy is giving 0.04. You see that at the start of the game you need a pretty decent navy to get your Maritime Presence up in the sea tiles. And it makes sense, right? The game is long and you need to build up, and that is why this game is so addictive. You are never done in this game. So yeah, you want to keep building more ships. You want to keep getting your sailors up. You want to keep getting your Maritime Presence up. Now, what I did now is put my fleet in the sea tile, which once again is this sea province. So if I click on this tile, you see that the First Navy is also helping over here. And the First Navy is also helping over here. And here as well. Because it helps in the whole sea province. That is the benefit of a navy. These other modifiers, Stockholm and the Södertälje modifiers, are of course not helping in this sea tile. So that is why fleets are very important. You can do this in another way as well. You click on your fleet, and then you click on Select Objective, and you click on Patrol the Seas. And then you can choose where you want them to patrol. So you can just click on the full Western Baltic, for example, or you select one of these sea provinces that we talked about. Now, if I just click on everything in the Western Baltic, and I click OK, then most likely it stays here at the capital. Yes, because the game knows that the capital is the most important one to increase the Maritime Presence to, at least next to the capital, not in the capital itself, of course. So that is what you can do as well, and then you have this symbol over the fleet, Patrol the Seas. That is what I use as well. And then later in the game you will get this to maybe 100%. And that means that you're going 100% through the sea tiles to Visby. You don't lose any proximity. And that also means that when you have this at 100% with more naval buildings, that you almost don't lose any proximity into Visby. You will only lose a little bit because the harbor capacity of Visby will not reach 100 anytime soon. So then the last step from the sea tile to Visby will be the biggest hurdle. Now, I think we have talked about a lot of things. Oh yeah, one last thing. You can make towns in this game, right? For example, I can go here and I click on this symbol and hey, I want to found a town. It will cost 335 gold at this moment. And when you have a town, you can build docks. You cannot build docks in a rural settlement. So now the question to you is, where do you want to build those towns then at the start of the game? Of course, there are multiple things you need to consider, but when we talked about our stuff here, control and proximity, let's take a look at the natural harbor suitability, right? This is the map mode that shows where the game thinks, and this is always the same in every game, where there is a good harbor capacity. So Stockholm is a bit light green, because it's having 75% or 0.75. So if I want to form a town, where do I want to do this? Well, here, in Åbo, and in Bräkne, and I want to form it in Umeå, and I want to form it in Uleaborg. Because we have good harbor capacity over here. So if I would own this location, I don't own it yet because I have to colonize it. And I build a dock here. And I make sure that my proximity is high by Maritime Presence from here all the way to Stockholm. Then I don't lose that many proximity. I have high proximity in this location. And then I can build roads from this location to the neighboring locations to spread the proximity through this location. And that is how you want to decide where you want to build towns, because you want to keep building more towns, they make the most money. And you want to have high control in your towns. Now, I think we have talked about everything I wanted to do. Yeah, you have a Maritime Presence map mode. We have 50% in the sea tile, that is why they have this color. But it's going down, that is just the start of the game value. Need to build a bigger navy to keep that up. With that, I'm gonna end it. I hope this guide helped. Please let me know in the comment section if it did. Like the video, it all helps with the YouTube algorithm. And I hope to see you in a next guide video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye bye.